Hey yo, what's up guys? It's your boy 10 Y'all Seen One, and today we're gonna finally do the most awaited thing without trolling you guys. So we're gonna make the weapon sway, but of course. And I don't know what you guys find so difficult in that, but it's pretty easy actually, and I myself actually downloaded a script off the internet and I'm just gonna teach you how to make that. GG, my tutorials are amazing. Woo! That was a horrible start. Anyway, so let's open up Unity. And, last time we just finished off with some fixes, some reloading fixes and stuff like that. So, yeah, this time we're just going to do the weapon sway. And so, yeah, the basic idea of the weapon sway is that we're going to move the weapon opposite to the direction of the camera. So, for example, if the camera is moving towards the left, the weapon is going to move towards the right. If the camera is moving towards the right, then the weapon is going to move towards the left. Again, it's going to move slightly towards the left, not too much, okay? So we don't want it to just burst move towards the left or right or something like that, okay? So yeah. Anyways, so okay, so let's kind of get started actually. Let's not waste time. So let's create a new script. So I'm going to go to my scripts folder, weapon, and right click here, create C# script, and we're going to call this weapon sway. And just double click to open it up. Just some stuff for newbies. Okay, so so the basic idea is that we're gonna start off by some variables basically, and I think the first variable which we're gonna create is a public variable, which will be the amount. Excuse me. So the amount is basically how much do we want our weapon to sway left and right. We can adjust that to just move it left and right, I guess, if that makes sense. Then we have another variable which we're going to call smooth amount. So how fast do we want our weapon to sway? If you want it to sway real quickly, which would kind of feel really jaggy and jumpy, or do you want it to slowly, smoothly move? If it's too slow, then it might just get annoying, so just try to keep it to a moderate value or something like that. Okay. No initials for these two variables. I suppose. Let's remove the start function for the time being. Oh, and another really important variable we're going to add, that is going to be a public vector3 type, which we're going to call offset move, or let's just call this offset simply. It might make things a lot easier. So what this variable is going to do is, well, as it says so, it's to adjust our weapon sway. So where should the weapon sway, or what should be the initial position of the weapon? I guess we should call it initial position, more or less. Actually, let's bring back the start function. Never mind. It might be useful after all. And then let's kind of say, okay, public vector3, call this initial position, and we can actually make it a private. I have no idea what I'm doing, but yeah. And let's assign this variable on the very first frame. It's not really the very first frame, but the start, the moment we start the game. So I'm gonna say, okay, so the initial position will be equals to transform.local position, and I'll explain why we're using local position instead of position just in a second. And that second is like right now, okay? So the reason why we're using local position instead of transform.position only, that is mainly because of the fact that you see the weapon. The values of the weapon are kind of, you can say, different. So these values are in relation to this object, the parent. So if I move the parent, you see these values remain the same. They're not changed. So if I move him left and right, or anyway, this object's value, its child's value, is the same. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to we're avoiding the world space, which is this object, for example. This object has world space values, so no matter where I move him, in order to change this object's position, I would use transform.position. But if I want to change, you know, a child object, the position of that child object, and I still want it to like stay parented to the, you know, all the other objects in the hierarchy, then I would use transform.local position. So it respects the position of its parent as well, and it doesn't just ignores it and just goes berserk or something like that. I don't know if I didn't pronounce that right, but so anyways, so now that we have our, you know, initial position, a starting position, they're saying, okay, this is the position where we're going to start, or where the weapon will come back after it sways to left and right. So what do we want next? Okay, so we want the weapon's movement based on the camera's movement. Okay, so relative to the camera, or rather opposite to the camera. Now, instead of going into really deep into this, like kind of saying, okay, we have a camera and we have that stuff and we have this stuff, I'm gonna actually go and use the input axes, which will be just the mouse x-axis and y-axis. So basically, the way we move our mouse, based on that, the weapon will sway from left and right. So to do this, we're going to store some certain values. So we're going to create a new float, which is going to be inside of the update, because we don't want to edit it or see it anywhere outside of the function itself. We just want to keep it here. And I'm going to call this movement x. And then we're going to just say, okay, movement x. So what is movement x? Movement x is going to be our mouse x-axis value. But it's actually going to be the inverse, or the inverted mouse x-axis. So if you move our mouse towards the left, the weapon is going to move towards the right. And in order to do that, we simply say minus or negative input.getAxis. Okay, so now we're getting the mouse input axis, which is the mouse x-axis, moving the mouse left and right. And we're going to basically multiply that with the amount variable. So this is the amount. So how much do we want it to take effect when we move our mouse left and right? And we're going to do a very, very similar thing and just copy this entire thing, paste it down there, and call this mouse Y and mouse Y. That's it. So, you know, mouse x-axis and mouse y-axis, we have two axes here, and we're just pretty much inversing them, or pretty much, you know, taking the invert amount, whatever, of those, and using that. So now that we have that, we need to calculate our new position. So what is going to be our new position in you know, when we move our mouse? Where is the weapon going to move and stop at or rest at? And to do that, we're going to create another variable inside of the update function, and we're going to call this vector3. It's going to be vector3 type, and let's call this final position. Okay, so final position, and let's just, you know, it's a simple vector, so we just need to assign these two values to this. So the mouse x, you know, vector3, the structure is starts with the next x-axis and y-axis and z-axis and stuff like that. So the first is the x-axis, so movement x, movement y, and the last one will be just 0 because it's the z-axis. We don't want to edit to the or modify the weapon's position, modify weapon's z-axis and stuff. Now, with that all done, what we want to do is we want to go on the next line, and we finally want to apply the position to the weapon itself. Now, we're not really done yet here. We still have another process to go, and that is going to be rotating the weapon slightly as well, tilting it as well, to kind of make it different a little bit. So now we're just moving it. So we're going to say, okay, transform dot position. So we're changing the position, actually not position, local position. Remember, we're changing it and we're respecting its parent. We don't want the weapon to just fly around and just ignore the position of its parent. So local position equals, and now we're going to smoothly move from our current position to a new position in space. That's how it's going to be. So this is where the initial position magic is going to come in. So I'm going to say, okay, vector3 dot lerp. Now lerp is a very specific, you know, very specialish, or not so special, but a really simple function really. What it does, it just moves from one position, as I said, so just right now, to another position based on a predefined time value, or, you know, proper speed which you can define. So it has like the vector A, which is the current position, or the position you want to start at, and B, the final position where you want to stop, and T is the position, is the time, or the speed, you can say, kind of. So the velocity, you can kind of say, or how smoothly, you know, just to kind of move it smoothly and stuff. You can assign different values and stuff. So yeah, vector3.lerp, I'm going to say transform.local position. We're going to start at our current position. Not going to use the initial position because our current position can change as well due to the weapon sway, so we're going to always move from that position. And we're going to end at final position plus initial position. Now the reason why we're doing this is because final position will only have two values, and that would be, you know, the X and Y axis, and it would not have the modified values of the weapon, you know, of the weapons X, Z, X, Y, and Z. So basically it would kind of reset the weapons X, Y, and Z values. It will just, you can say, reset them and just override them. Yeah, so they're at a vector 3.0 always, and stuff like that. We don't want that to happen. We want it to respect its modified position as well. And I'll actually explain that in a second. Actually, let me just explain it right now. So see, the FPS AK-47, the values are actually edited. They're changed. They're not 0. Okay. So based on these values, we're actually adding those values to the final position as well, so that when we sway, we actually return back to this position instead of floating around at really abrupt, weird axes, or somewhere like there, which is inside of the floor, I think. I don't know, where is it? Okay, outside, whatever. Anyways, let's go back. Okay, so initial position, and we're gonna finally smooth it out. So we're gonna say time dot delta time into smooth amount, and the smooth amount, you can change the smooth amount, which is gonna be our speed, so it smoothly moves and all. So that's that. Let's save it, and let's go back to our Unity editor then. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag our weapon sway script to the object, or to the weapon, and that's that. And we can just assign some values. Let's make the smooth amount 6 and 0.1 maybe, I don't know. And let's not maximize and play. Let's try playing the game itself. Okay, oh, there we go. That's working, but you can see, you know, it's really, it's massive. Like, it's swaying a bit too much. It's returning to the position correctly, but too much. Let's reduce the value to 0.1. What about that? That's some pretty nice sway, as you can see. How about 0.2? I think I'm liking 0.2. But you see, there's one issue. If I move too much, you can see, I can clearly see my freaking arm. Like it's broken and all. So there's no limit to the sway. It's limitless. You can just move based on how much you know, how speedily or fast you move your mouse, and that's not right. That's not good. So what we need to do now is we actually need to clamp it. We actually need to stop it. We actually need to limit it between certain values. And for that, we are going to simply create another float, and we're going to call this, okay, call that public float max amount. So how much amount do we want the weapon sway to like stop at, or to limit at? We don't want it to exceed that amount. And simply, you know, really, it's really just simple, to be honest. And that would basically be, okay, so we go to the final position, right? Actually, not the final position, this stuff, the movement X and Y. And we're gonna pretty much use a very basic function, which is called mathf.clamp, which allows us to limit a value, assign a minimum value and a maximum value. So we're gonna say, okay, float, let me see, no, actually, sorry, not float, movement X equals, so we're editing this value, and we're going to call this mathf.clamp. Okay, so the value, mathf.clamp function has certain three, as you can see, whatever functions, or three variables which it requires, values which it requires, you can say. One of them is value, min, max, so three values. So value, the value which you need to edit, and in our case, that's movement X itself. And the minimum value, where do we want it to end in the negative? So if I move my mouse towards the right, it moves to the left, and that means it's going in the negative. So we want to say, okay, minus max amount, and the max will be maximum. Let me explain that in a second. So let's just finish doing that for both of the y, X and Y. So mathf.clamp, movement, y, yes. Ouch, something's wrong with my fingers right now. Right. Definitely something's wrong with my fingers right now. Okay, that's that. Great. So what we're doing here is we're picking this value, movement X, and we are limiting it based on the max amount. But why are we using minus max amount for this? The reason for this is, like, for example, when I move my mouse, you can say, you know, we have this value set as negative, right? So if I move my mouse towards the right, it gives me a positive value. You know, this gives me a positive value. That means plus multiplied by minus is minus, or negative. Okay, positive multiplied by negative is negative, right? So this is negative. That would mean that, you know, it's moving towards the left, basically. Let's not kind of complex things out, but basically it's moving towards the negative side, and we're saying, okay, we want the maximum amount to be limited here. When it moves, when the I can say weapon moves towards the left side, it's gonna stop here, and when the weapon moves towards the right side, it's gonna stop here. Okay, this amount, okay, and that's how we're basically doing it. Because, you know, the amount, you know, the value, this value is based on the axis itself. It could be negative or positive, so yeah. Anyways, so now that we have done that, if we kind of go back to our game here, where we will just basically see that we can just assign a smooth value. Let's actually do that to that, and I'm gonna make it like 0.06 or something. So you can see I can no longer move my weapon more than that specific amount. It's just stuck in place, basically. You can really try playing around with it, how much you think it's good. Okay, 4 was too much. I want to go with 0.1 or something. So, you know, some things that you say doesn't go through the weapon or anything, like it's going through the weapon right now. Maybe through 0.8, still going through the weapon. Maybe 0.6, no longer going through the weapon. Okay, so yeah, that's what I like for the sway. Now there's no bobbing yet. We still have to code that, of course. That's not going to be individual or limited to the weapon only. It's going to be actually something which it's just going to be different and all. So you see, yeah, that's pretty much it, I guess. All right. I'm not sure if I should really do the tilting, but I guess we'll do the tilting as well later. But yeah, I guess that's pretty much it, guys. So we've successfully coded a basic weapon sway script, which is as minimal as it could get. Pretty small, pretty short. There's nothing too much to it. So yeah, so basically just getting some negative values, moving the weapon in the opposite direction of the camera's movement and stuff. That's all there is to it, really. You know, so yeah, I guess I don't know what to say, really. The next part of this, the weapon sway, which I'm not gonna like release right after, probably not, but yeah, will be basically where we're gonna actually rotate the weapon as well. So you see the weapon, we're gonna actually rotate it as well, slightly on the z-axis, so it will give us that really nice, you can say, kind of like the weapon, you know, kind of a dynamic movement. So the weapon kind of goes into this really nice rotation and just really fluently comes back to its position or rotation, its original rotation, which I think you might have seen. You might not have seen it, but in my intro, I believe I do have a weapon such as that, which uses a similar functionality and all. But yeah, so we're gonna cover that, and yeah, that's about it. So I really hope you guys enjoyed, because this was the most as boring tutorial as it can get, I guess. I don't know how I'm gonna fit all the memes here. But anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed, and it really dragged on for long. But yeah, that's pretty much about it. The explanation part was long. I should not have explained that much, maybe. Should I? Should I have? Like, let me know if I should have explained by the poll thingy. I don't know if I will even remember adding that, but yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoyed, and we'll do some more advanced stuff, like maybe bullet holes, sparks, aiming, all that kind of stuff, and maybe at some stage we'll do weapon switching, inventory, AI, big plans for it. Hopefully it keeps going on, but yeah, I might be taking a little break from the tutorials, because I've got my exams real soon, like next month, and I've got loads to study, and I've been studying all day today, barely got time, I'm gonna sleep early, wake up early as well. I don't know why I wasted... Yeah, I don't know. I guess I did waste yesterday streaming, but it was amazing to have you guys. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.